Awesome. Awesome. So today we're going to be looking at TurboSource. Elijah, I believe, has been part of the talent world as well, was referred over by one of our venture partners, Brian. Elijah, the kind of format of today's Silo Tank, we'll let you kick off. You can do your own kind of intro if you want to as well with your team. Feel free to do the demo. We will have time at the end. Feel free to ask us questions. Our group is probably going to be asking questions along the way. But feel free to make it interactive as well. You can ask questions to the group in between. People, feel free to go off mute if you need to ask any questions or send me messages in the chat. But we'll go ahead and get it kicked off. It's all you, Elijah. Feel free to take over.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much for the intro, Sabrina. As Sabrina mentioned, I've been in the talent world for a little while, probably about 10 years. I ran my own recruiting company doing RPO for mostly VC-backed tech companies. Companies like Monday.com, they're currently a customer with my recruiting company, Avoda. I've also led in-house teams at a company that was Series B called Cloud Factory, where I lived in the UK for 3 years. So I've led recruiting teams as small as probably like 2 or 3 people to, I think when I was working at an ATS company called Comeet, we had around 20. So I had about 10 sourcers and 10 recruiters. So I've been an individual contributor and led teams. And I got connected with Alex a little over a year ago and a friend of his, Alen, and we started building together TurboSource. Do you want to do a quick intro, Alex?
Yeah, thanks. On my side, I've been doing the technical part for 12, 13 years. Started in the JavaScript ecosystem, let's say, but then was part of a startup where we were doing low code similar to Webflow. And we had a big machine learning component back in 2018. Have been building startups for the last 7 years now. And I've been trying to build my own thing for a couple of years and started this collaboration now with Elijah at the beginning of the year, and we're having a great time together. So
yep.
Here we are.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to share my screen just to go over kind of a few things to set some context, if that's all right. So TurboSource is intended to be a job board alternative. So when you see it or think about it, don't think, oh, is this like Juicebox or Pen or Gem or one of the like sourcing AI automation tools? It's not, and it's not exactly for the same users either, which we'll look at. So the story is really comes from my own experience, right? Constantly hearing, as I'm sure all of you've heard, where are my candidates? And I kept thinking, is there a way to not use LinkedIn Recruiter every time and be able to get candidates that are interested and qualified for hiring managers quickly? And is there a way to do that without being too invasive on changing people's workflows? So when I led the sourcing team and the recruiting team at Comeet, every time we would get a new tool and try to get the team to use it, they wouldn't use it that much, right? Like we had to keep reminding them, hey, you have access to this new tool. It's great. Like, here's how you use it. Like, we just kept having to reinforce things. And it made me wonder, is there a way to get them the same or similar results without asking them to change their workflow that much? The problem is similar to what a lot of people are trying to solve. Massive numbers of applicants, right? Many of them fraudulent. And yeah, as Brett said, adoption is always challenging. Yeah, it's a huge challenge, right? Especially when people already have their ATS and that's what they're used to using, and maybe they already have LinkedIn Recruiter. But companies are getting all these applicants, and our goal is really just to get them more like higher quality applicants, but not actually ask them to really spend much time using another tool. So you'll see TurboSource is really simple. Conceptually, it's pretty simple and basic as well. And it's intended to be that way because our users, we have a few, are more like HR leaders, and they're not full-time recruiters, right? They don't actually have that much time to spend on sourcing. So just to touch again on the assumptions, because I know all of you are really familiar with like the TA ecosystem and landscape, and I want to make sure you know what we are and what we aren't. Again, minimal workflow change. Our goal is that eventually TurboSource is fully integrated with an ATS, almost like a job board, and the recruiter or HR person just clicks post, and that's it. And they don't go to TurboSource, they don't go log in there. They just review interested applicants that come into their system. Are there any questions so far? Because we can just do questions as we go. Not yet? Okay. So again, no time for sourcing. That's the problem with introducing new tools that I saw with my existing team. We would get them sourcing tools and then they didn't have time. Or we paid $9,000 a year for them to have LinkedIn Recruiter and they weren't using it, right? Like you go in and check the reports and they've used it like once or twice in a month. Maybe you can just try to push them to use it more, but there might also be a way of giving them decent results, like good candidates, without them going into or needing to use those tools. The concept itself is a simple invite to apply. So we're basically just identifying candidates that seem relevant based on target companies. So we do like a target company approach. And then we're just inviting them to apply via email. Like, here's the link. If you're interested, apply. So we track clicks. We're not able to track like who's been hired or anything because we don't have all the integrations with the ATS yet. But again, it's just a simple invite to apply. The other assumption we are making is that candidates accept AI and that they will respond to the AI reaching out to them. So this is another huge differentiator between Juicebox, Gem, Kula, Pin, etc. You as a user are not reaching out. Let me say it again. You are not reaching out. The email's not coming from you. You're not integrating your email inbox. You're not monitoring it. The email's actually coming from TurboSource. So it's coming from like TurboSource, AI Recruiter. We mentioned the company. We share the job description. We mentioned the comp. Like all the info is in there, similar info to what a recruiter might share. But it's actually coming from us, and we manage a bunch of cold email domains so that the user doesn't have to do that, and so they don't really need to check like the email. I don't trust AI to just like email on my behalf. So we try to remove that from the user, and we actually do the outreach so that users don't feel the need to double check the messaging. Does that kind of make sense? What's Brett saying? Yeah, essentially, yeah, you could look at it like that. AI-driven prospecting or sourcing as a service. Yeah. So we're inviting them to apply without us touching. Yeah, Tony?
Will it, when they apply, will it give that as a source and that it's coming from TurboSource versus them just going to the website or the careers page?
Only if they did a unique tracking link, which because we're working really hands-on with customers, they are now, right? Where you go into your ATS, it is annoying. Like, because the integrations aren't there, you have to go into the ATS, set up TurboSource, and then we have a unique tracking link. So if they put that tracking link into TurboSource, which I'll show you where they put that in, then yes, it is tracked to us. Otherwise, it's just tracked to their careers page.
Okay, cool.
How does it know what candidates to target?
So we're starting with a target company list approach. So what you'll see is we create a company profile. Let's say it's Monday.com, right? Monday.com, company profile, and then the AI starts finding companies similar to Monday. Airtable, ClickUp, Smartsheet, right? All these project management tools. And then the user just approves which ones they kind of want on the list. And then that list is used as the core of the search. So it's essentially searching for people in similar jobs at that list of companies to invite them to apply. Does that make sense, Stephen?
Yeah, so it's not, it won't go a step further and say, here are other companies that are similar. Maybe it's not exact, but for example, it's in the software space. And I need SDRs that are from SaaS companies. if I don't tell it to you, if it's not on that target company list, it won't expand its search. It'll only focus on those companies.
Currently, yeah, that's true. Currently, we will have an expanded part. Do you want to mention something, Alex?
Yeah, we had as a base about a dozen different categories, be it competitors, peers, similar technologies, similar industries. We tried to cover as broad as possible. So for example, for a job post, in a previous version, Elijah is going to show you a demo. We had a previous one. We were discovering anywhere between 400 to 700 companies, and those would give us a big enough pool to start with. So if you think for just a job to have a target of 400 to 700 companies, which we would score then, and then discover candidates, it would be, let's say, it would address more or less the question that you were referring to.
Got it. And so thank you for that. And then when the candidates come in, is it just their resume, or is the tool providing some context as to why it reached out to them and now why it's in our queue?
It is just whatever they applied with, right? It's like we're kind of doing the work to bring relevant candidates to the job page, and then you take it from there. That's part of the minimal workflow change, right? You're already reviewing applicants. This is just another applicant that's coming from TurboSource specifically. Did you have a question, Brett, or do you want us to jump into the demo so that you can see it? I think you're on mute still.
You're on mute, Brett. Oh, maybe some audio.
Sorry about that. I had the wrong microphone queued in. Could you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Just hearing the kind of questions that everyone's having, it seems they're sort of all around, what is the quality control to make sure that we're not driving the wrong types of applicants to apply, right? And I guess the questions I have are probably similar, maybe, to some of the questions that other people have. You launch a job and some sort of integration, some sort of a handoff, some sort of queuing in so you guys know what is considered right before you go out and spray the world, so to speak. And just understanding that piece, I think, is kind of important because, in this market where there's a lot of people that are applying, the last thing we want is more of the wrong people from a sourcing standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. But let's just jump in and we'll kind of look here at how it works. So basic dashboard, right? The first thing you usually do is set up a company profile. Now, for now, this is done manually, but eventually you can imagine when you sign up with your work email, it takes the domain and just enriches this information in a couple seconds, and then you just double check it, right? So we're all about using AI where it makes sense and can save you some time, but you still double check it. So you fill out the company profile. I did this for one of our customers, Sweet Security. They're like a small cybersecurity firm hiring remotely in the US. So you fill this out. It is going to, TurboSource will take this information and then automatically suggest 7 companies to kind of get your target company list started. So you can see 3 here, Wiz, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, already approved. But the new ones, they'll go into this pending review. I'm going to go ahead and approve all of them because I double checked the ones that this customer actually approved, and they did approve all of these already. So we just select all, approve selected, and then let's say we want to add some more and we actually have a list. So I'm going to grab this list quick. So then we're going to click this button, import and enrich, but you could also type in cybersecurity companies, Series A, blah, blah, blah in this field here, and it would find some, but let's just use the ones that we have. So we got these additional ones, import and enrich. It's going to take a couple seconds, but it's going to find these companies right and then basically put them in the system with the information that we need to be able to search, which I think is like domain and LinkedIn URL. Yeah, this part isn't fast. We're gonna try to make it fast later. Okay, there we go. All right, so pending 10, great. Those are the exact ones we had, right? So then we're gonna approve it. So now we're up to 17 approved companies. All right, that's great. So you can see those there. We go to the job posting. I did one earlier, but we'll do one from scratch quick. So you click post a job. And again, imagine this being integrated with an ATS where you don't have to do this, but for now we do. So I just grab this from their website, grabbing the job description quick here. Now they're actually using Western USA, fully remote, full time, next up. So now the AI is going to read through the job description and it's going to like pre-fill some fields on the next page that we're just going to double check. One thing that I do think is kind of cool is that it's finding the states and guessing the states that you want right here in the target states, which is important for sales rules, right, for territory stuff. So we're going to leave all these as the correct states. Yes, those are all fine. Let me make sure the comp. Yep, comp's right. It's the base. So I'm just going to pop that in there. So let's assume all this is fine, right? Then we're going to click right here. I'm going to turn that off. That's include role equivalents. So if it might say, oh, let's put BDRs in there, right? If you do that, because we're still nailing down the title piece. So I'm going to turn that off. So it'll just look for account executive. Next step. Right here, approved companies. This is the only one we have built out. It's going to use those 17 companies. We're going to be using other search strategies. If you can imagine, like as you're recruiting and you're sourcing, you find candidates using a lot of different strategies, right? Like a target company list or keywords or similar companies or similar industries or tech stack if it's a technical role. We're going to like map all of those out in here and then figure out how we're going to do those searches to find the number of candidates needed to get them, let's say, 20 quality applicants or 30 quality applicants. But this is the only one mapped currently. So we just grab the link, right? This one's not tracked, but if it were, it would track. And then we're going to leave auto approve off. This is another key piece. Once you have your companies in, and the scoring looks accurate, you're like, okay, like these are solid candidates or like 90% and above. You can just turn the 90% and above auto approve on, and it's just going to auto approve any candidates that it finds above 90 and add them to the outreach campaign, which you'll be able to see in a second. I'm going to leave that off now.
What's it matching against? How's it generating that match score?
It's generating the match score very simple right now. It's basically looking for job title match, company to kind of make sure it matches the target company list. Trying to think what else.
We start with the job scorecard, basically a simpler version of a scorecard, and then we match against that.
Okay, I'm just thinking for technical roles, you obviously have engineers, but they can be working in very different tech stacks depending on where they are in the company or what the company tech stack is. Is there a way to kind of differentiate against things like that?
Yes,
there will be.
I actually, as a side thing, I helped a company recruit for some really specific technical role, and I went through 2,000 resumes. So I was like mixing everything, and I've built a browser extension to do exactly that. And now, like, the idea is that we migrated from a different application to this one in the last few weeks. And the previous experience, you would just put a job URL and we would take everything, but we had we got burned a bit by some fancy tech, and then we decided to go like, let's say, a more controllable path.
Sure. So it sounds like you're in the process of building the back out again then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Porting
most of the functionality from the previous to this one.
Got it.
So you can see now it's starting to discover candidates, right? It is very basic scoring, as Alex was saying. So you can see enterprise AE, the state, and like a basic score here. This is where we could do the auto approve. We could go down through here. Let's just approve one. Let's say this one, right? Okay, so it approved it. And now it's going to find the email address, and then it's generating a 4-step email campaign, putting all the information about the company and the job into the campaign, and then it will reach out to that candidate. So it's doing all that like behind the scenes where you don't have to do anything except approve some candidates and then turn on auto approve. And the reason quality isn't, like, you don't have to be as careful as when you're on LinkedIn Recruiter and you're reaching out because it's your time. You still have the opportunity to not spend 15 or 30 minutes on a screening call with them, right? Because they're being invited to apply. So you don't have to be like quite as careful. Yes, we're using scoring. Yes, we're going to improve the scoring, but it's a little lower risk than already committing your own time to spending time with that candidate. Does that make sense? Okay, so we got a couple questions here. David, do you want to go first?
Yeah. So, question: I'm an agency recruiter, and so my question for you is like, is this more for an audience for internal recruiters right now?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, because we could probably make it where it would work for agency, but I feel like the value you're providing to your customers, there's better tools than this for something like that. This is geared for like a busy HR person or a recruiter who has like 30 recs and has no time to source and just wants to try to get like a few more interested qualified applicants in their pipeline to review.
Okay. So my follow-up question is that let's just say that it was. Well, does it have the capability of anonymizing the job or the company name and that kind of thing?
We could leave it out.
Okay. Because I see, I mean, to me, this is, I see a use for myself in terms of this. Like, I have no problem, it's funnel in, right? Kind of. So, I mean, I think this would be a good augmentation of what I already do. It would automate some of the manual stuff that I already do in that regard. I think so. I like it potentially. What I could see a use for it for myself. But
yeah, if interested, we could have a follow-up on this because we're open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lauren, I think you were next.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a glimpse of maybe what the communication looked like, because I do think it's a time saver. But if it does say the company name, then even though it's not from me, it still has like some level of reputation and experience attached to it. So there's probably some obligation to interact, and I'd just be curious to know what that communication actually says when we're inviting them to apply.
Yeah, we could show that. I mean, yeah, it's a fair point. People may want to at least see like the first one, for example. Emails 2, 3, and 4 are basic, right? Like, hey, we're just following up, candidates are moving forward in the process, like kind of those follow-up emails. And the first one is just very impressive experience, right? From X company where they're currently at, job title, location, comp, benefits. Like it's kind of like bullet point type stuff so they can skim it quick. And then they click the link for the job posting to actually read through more details. It's very, very basic we're just trying to give them the info to see if they're interested or not.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that any of the people that get them or the recipients feel like it could be like a spam email coming to them since it's not coming from the company?
Yeah, I mean, that is the risk, right? Under the assumptions, like, is this going to be quite as effective as David, for example, like reaching out from his own email or LinkedIn Recruiter? Probably not, but the time savings that you can get to just like get a few more candidates in process, that's kind of our assumption that it's going to save time. Our costs, right, will go up astronomically if we have to send from people, because we'll have to start hiring a bunch of people versus being able to create an AI persona that transparently says it's AI, right? We are not going to deceive people in the slightest. We say this is an AI recruiting assistant for X company, the customer, and that's just how we're trying to do it right now. We are getting clicks and opens.
Yeah,
a human, might outperform.
You did some A/B testing, right? And then the results were quite similar to the emails sent from a human versus the other part. But we could also, if the request is definitely there, integrate like your emails.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that. And if you see right here, Lauren, our big assumption that we're still testing and that seems positive so far is the email opens and clicks are driven by the job, company, and timing for the candidate, not the creativity of the message or even the sender. It's a big assumption, right? But that's what we're testing and assuming is that if it's from AI and they are opening it and reading it and everything looks legit, we're using our company logo as the profile picture, then it will still get them, the end result they're looking for. I think, Tony, you were next.
Yeah, is there a way to change the target companies for each role? Because I know, internally our engineers might be looking for specific companies that have the same tool stack that we have on the back end. But for salespeople, we're looking for companies that are very similar to our industry and the type of sale that we do. So is there a way to make that customizable for the role?
Yeah, we're going to do that at some point. We just need to figure out how people would want that, right? Is that separate company lists, or would we be using tags, or we would just have to figure out how people wanted to do that? Or is it just per department, right? And you put the department in the job posting itself? It would just need to be sorted. For now, it's just one kind of company list that works for all the roles. I think Brett was next.
Yeah, a couple of quick questions. Where is it finding the candidate data? Is it just LinkedIn, or is it pulling candidates from, I don't know, different places in the open web?
Multiple data sources, even like including LinkedIn, but that would be, let's say, the biggest one. And then we used at some point like 4 or 5 different data sources.
Okay.
We are planning to build our own other like candidate side of this. It's ambitious, but a place for candidates to plan their career out and kind of map the jobs and have their resume, be able to track postings, and then we would be building our own proprietary like candidate database as well. But that's a big undertaking, so we're not doing it currently.
That makes sense. So it finds a bunch of candidates, and then it goes out and finds is it using their work email address or their home email address, or a combination of, or either, depending on what it could find?
Yeah, it's preferring their personal, but we'll use their work if necessary. We would not do that if like my company, for example, were reaching out. We would not reach out to somebody's work email address. But since it's from TurboSource and it's not from you as an individual, we've opted to use work emails as a backup. We could probably put it in the settings if somebody was just like, no, never use work emails for our jobs.
I mean, the concern was more sort of on your end, right? Because if you're hyper targeting multiple people at a select few companies, your email address is going to get picked up and, banned from some of those domains the second they figure out you're sort of an active threat to their employees. So that was just the only kind of concern there. And then, more than one employee starts getting the same email, and it's sort of, and they talk about it, and it sort of delegitimizes the sort of reach out in terms of that. And last question, I think you sort of answered it before. I just want to make sure I understood. You're saying right now the actual content or flow or steps in the drip campaign that you're sending out to each person is handled by you guys behind the scenes. It's not something that right now the feature exists to input into, here's what I want the campaigns to look like, or here's a messaging that I want put out. That's sort of templated for you guys behind the scenes. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so we use AI to read the job posting, the company about the info, and draft the 4 emails. So they will look different from job to job, but not from candidate to candidate. And we run our own cold email infrastructure. You guys have gotten cold emails, right? Like we run our own multi-domain, multi-email inbox, recruiter at, HR at, careers at, blah, 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 across a bunch of domains. But yes, we do have to monitor like spam rates and block rates and all that. But we're trying to take care of that on behalf of the customer, so they don't really have to deal with any of that or worry about it themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you for those answers.
Yeah, Stephen, I think you were next.
Yeah, just two questions, and sorry if one of them was answered. The response rates that you guys get, is there a target like you're looking to improve on from what general response rates are? Like, so if we say you get applicants responding 10% of the time, and 5% are good, you're going to see a 25% increase. So like if I was to present this to our CEO, what material impact, other than it saving me time, what material impact am I going to see for the business, for not just more applicants but quality applicants? Do you guys have an expectation? Is that something that you've considered, thought of? Sorry, and again, sorry if I missed it.
No, yeah, we definitely thought of it. We don't have all the numbers yet. We have quite a bit of variation between the types of roles. So for example, I'm just going to read some of these off quick. So we have like, I'd say anywhere from about a 60% open rate all the way up to a 90% open rate on some of the campaigns. And then the click rates range anywhere from 9% up to about 32% on the clicks. And again, we don't know which of those actually applied because we don't have the full integration with the ATS yet. We can just tell the customer, here's how many clicks you have, similar to a job board in some ways.
Yeah. Okay. And then the second question was, I know it's based on the company when you're doing like posting the rack and looking at talent. Is there going to be an opportunity to not focus it on company specific and be a bit more broad?
Mm-hmm.
For example, like software companies ranging from 75 million in revenue to 500 million that are private equity backed, as an example, instead of being so targeted, being a bit broader for obviously specific roles, and then there are obviously some that are more targeted. So is that going to be like have that flexibility like you would on LinkedIn if I'm sourcing for candidates?
Yeah, right here. So there'll be like a similar companies. We're trying to present a few strategies that on LinkedIn would take you a few minutes to do or figure out, that you could just like tick box on here and say like, I want to use these 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, but you don't actually have to do any of the work. It just triggers.
We also plan to have like a full repository of strategies from which AI could choose from. So for example, not everyone could be obvious all the times, but some would make sense in some contexts. So this again is like, let's say, the simpler version so that we can roll out faster.
Yeah. Bukola?
Yeah. This question might have been asked before, but do you have any like case studies of actual clients using the tool and any feedback from that?
Yeah, we're still getting that. So like, because I have my own recruitment company and we are fully bootstrapped, right? So like this has been self-funded. There's no VCs. Like this is just Alex, Alinda, and I like scrappily building it as best we can from Avoda. Basically, we're using it with those customers, but in some cases, they've still been wanting us to like use the tool. So just within the last 3 weeks, we actually gotten users in the tool that are the customer, right? We were using it on their behalf before. We now have, I think, 3 customers, 1 with a user each. And there's still this propensity, right, from the services side of the business for them to ask me to do something or somebody from the team. So we're still kind of building that habit of them actually using it themselves. We've had a few review calls with them where I take a bunch of notes, record the call, how they're using it, and then share it with Alex to start building in kind of improvement opportunities. But we don't have any like hard case studies yet. We're like, oh, this company made 4 hires or 2 hires. We're still very early on with users actually using the product themselves.
So it's kind of you're kind of used as almost like a third party resource in a way right now. I'm not saying that that's the future.
Yeah, from Avoda, right? From the services business, like that's how they know me. So they interact with me similar, but we are starting to focus on trying to get customers who've never interacted with the services side and they just use it, right, as like a tool for themselves, like if they signed up for Gem or Juicebox or something.
Gotcha.
At the same time, that is actually valuable customer feedback for us. So we're getting information or something out of it.
Yeah.
I saw a question regarding training our own models. We did not do that. By the speed with which the big providers do make progress, it doesn't really make sense. Like maybe you've known about Harvey, the big law AI startup, right? They raised like $1 billion or something to train their own model. Then GPT 4.5 came out, or 5, and it was already better at that than what they trained. And it's better. It was actually better for them to just focus on the vertical integration to what they needed than training their own model.
A quick question. Do you have any averages in terms of the number of additional candidates it directs to the applicant pool?
It would be, so like, it would be this number of how many were found, and then however many get approved, whether it's manually or auto approve. The number of approved is the number that we try to find emails for, and we find most of them. I don't have the specific rate yet, but and then we add those into the campaign. So we're kind of trying to get your job in front of the right people to apply.
So you're actually going through, and if you don't have auto approval on, you're approving the people that are added to the outreach then?
The user is, yeah. The customer is approving them until they feel confident, and we improve this score here. You see this little like 94. Then they can just go up here, and let's say we wanted the threshold to be like 90. You just click it, and then this 99 is going to drop down to, okay, so 86. So in like one click, right, it approved 13 candidates and is now enriching them and finding email addresses on them like super fast.
Right. Okay.
That's the goal, is that they do almost nothing, the user.
I think Mike had a question, Elijah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Hey, Mike.
I do. Hey, Elijah. Good demo so far. One of the questions that I had, so I've used different products, Seek Out being one of them. As far as the conversion for going from pending review to approved to responding, how are you guys tracking that and being able to present that back? Because with the tools that I've used so far, Juicebox is one of them. Even when you present them like this is the ideal profile, and you give them like 1 or 2 or 3 profiles of like this is identical thing, and they go to find other profiles that are supposedly contextually matched, they miss by the entire industry. Sometimes they miss by like what that person's job function even is. So just curious if you guys have like data around that part of it.
Well, we're leaning very heavily right now for that reason, because I've used a lot of those tools too. And that's part of why we built this, is I wanted something that I could control the companies and like the industries. And we looked through just the target companies, right, that are here. So there's like 14 or whatever. No, 17, sorry. So those target companies, and then you can see they're showing up in the candidate list. Wiz, Orca Security, Wiz, like these are the same ones from that list. And the job title is the exact same type of job titles from the job posting itself. So like we're relying on location, job posting, and those target companies for quality the most right now. But as we add more strategies, the scoring will get more important so that we don't get what you're saying happens with those other tools.
Maybe
in fairness to this particular example, account executive role is much easier to do this type of pattern matching than it is going to be, say, a platform engineer, right? Because then it becomes skills-based versus function-based.
Definitely. Let me try to expand a bit the answer on that. So, for example, one other strategy that we use as well was also SERP, which can sound like crazy fuzzy and can bring a lot of noise, right? But what we did was, again, they create a job scorecard, and then based on the scorecard, which could be different companies name their job titles completely different. We were scoring at the end after getting all the candidates. We're scoring each individual candidate against that job, and that's how we are managing to have proper results. Because Juicebox, you mentioned them, they're not making their money. They are basically bringing you search for free, close to free, because they're charging for other services, right? Our added value comes in the entire package, and here we do actually spend quite a bit more resources into the scoring than they would do. They do semantic similarity, which is and probably keyword matching, but we're doing actually LLM scoring for every candidate against the scorecard. Again, LLMs are becoming cheaper. It's not like breaking the bank, but we do put a lot more, let's say, effort and reasoning into the responses.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, one
Hey,
more quick thing. Oh, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just with respect to time, I want to make sure that we're opening it up for questions on your end as well, Elijah, if you have any questions for our group.
I mean, I guess any either recommendations or kind of thoughts about the concept, right? Like it's a job board alternative and kind of a replacement for job board usage. Any feedback, yeah, would be super helpful if there's no more questions for us.
I could jump in because I think it is a really good concept. I haven't necessarily seen something like this specifically. I think that biggest thing for me as I'm going through different AI tools right now that we're presenting to get funding for is showing a material impact is a huge part of it. And so that piece is going to be really big for you guys, being able to say, like, hey, this is going to reduce sourcing times for recruiters. We're going to see an increased amount of quality applicants that are going to affect our time fill, which affect blah, blah, blah. So I think that's a big part. So right now, I think it's very theoretical. Obviously great if it works. I think the customizable piece on sourcing is important. I think the target approach is good, but I think the piece that I'm struggling with is it's not for me all about companies, because I'm in the software space, specifically private equity backed, and a lot of times that doesn't really matter the companies. It's more about the industry and size of company, if they're doing compliance software, right? So being able to be maybe more customizable there, I think would even add more value, because a lot of the roles vary. Like when we talk engineering, think like James, you said, and then if I'm looking for SDRs, might not need company base. So I think maybe getting more customizable around that would help for me at least. But I think those would be the two big call-outs. But overall, really good job, Elijah, Alex, and I think it's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're definitely going to work on the strategy that you mentioned around where it's more about industry, right? We still may use a company list just to control quality more, but yeah, we may actually get it.
I think it's the ability to do multiple sourcing opportunities, almost like I would do on LinkedIn. I could do so many different Booleans. It's like providing that flexibility if it's needed. But
yeah, in a click, right? Without you having to do anything. We're trying to make it where you just tick the box and you tell us like, hey, use this one, and boom, we do it.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, for me, at least, I don't know about the group, but for me, it's this part of the sourcing that's annoying is reaching out to the candidates, messaging them, following up with them. The actual setting the parameters around AI and saying, it's almost like you're running a prompt in ChatGPT. This is what I'm looking for. Here are your parameters. Here's the ideal profile. No, go find me a bunch of people that are in line with this, and here's your guardrails. Get creative, but don't go outside of these guardrails. And so it's like that balance of being too not over customizable, but also not too rigid, where you don't have that flexibility. It's obviously a tough balance to get to, but that's I think where it could be you could expand the sourcing efforts.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's a good thought. Thank you.
Yep.
I think just making it more of an exclusive invite, kind of changing the marketing, like, hey, are you tired of, posting, submitting your resume to 1 million jobs. This is an exclusive invite. I think that's a market right now, as far as, a lot of people are struggling with literally competing with thousands and thousands of candidates. So, kind of shortening it down and saying this is an exclusive invite to this particular job, which it is,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyone else? Other, thoughts or questions or recommendations or anything?
Where does the when they apply, where does that get housed in? Like maybe I missed that.
Right into your ATS, right? That's part of why we're taking this angle of just inviting them to apply, is then the recruiter doesn't really change their workflow, right? Like they don't have to go back and forth with the candidate, upload the candidate, ask them for their CV or resume on LinkedIn, upload. Like none of that happens, right? They just get the link, read it, and apply, just like if they came across the posting on LinkedIn or somewhere.
But that's not, the ATS isn't synced up yet. So if we did this right now, like it wouldn't come across that way, would it?
Well, in the tracking, it might not look like it, but the link that you put in here is what they're going to get sent. So if you send them like this right here is the careers page for Sweet Security, one of our customers, they're going to just go here and apply, right?
And it's going to come in. So, okay, I see. So it's like, okay, I use PC Recruiter. So I have one on my website. They apply, it comes directly into my PC Recruiter, and that's how it would get housed. Okay.
That's right.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it.
Anyone else?
What are you guys charging right now for this kind of service?
Great question. Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So we're charging, I would say it's based on volume, but anywhere between $300 and $500 per posting. Again, we're positioning against job boards, right? And that's like fairly comparable pricing. We've been able to get that so far. We may be able to even lower the pricing over time, but we just have to be cautious, right? Because we have to manage all that cold email infrastructure, and each of those inboxes is, $4 to $10 a month, and then the domain registration and warm-ups, like all that cold email infra is not super cheap. So we're charging about $300 to $500 per posting.
Don't you guys use like Instantly to do that? Like, isn't that kind of like wouldn't you guys be using Instantly to do the cold? Like, I mean, that's like, that would be like the one of the savers on your, I'm not trying to tell you how to run your business, but I'm guessing you're using Instantly. I'm guessing you're putting in the mailboxes, there kind of thing to manage it for you guys. So that's a cost-effective way to do it for you.
Yeah. Well, we're not using Instantly, but similar, yes, cold email infrastructure, but all of those little the domains, right? Like $15, $20 a year. Then each inbox is like $5 to $6. Then you got to warm that up. Like it's all of that, managing that can get pretty expensive, like at scale. So that's why we're starting, maybe a little more premium pricing right now.
Okay. Got it. Would you guys do like a bulk, like kind of a package deal or that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I think we even have a lifetime deal right now for like $25K or something, just in case anybody would want to do that. And then we could take that, right, and that would help fund the growth over the next, 6 to 12 months.
Got it. Okay. Cool. I like it. I mean, even as an agent, I'm one of few agency recruiters, right? And so I'm gravitating more towards this idea. I don't use LinkedIn. I don't post really. And my website, like I use it, but the hardest part is getting it outbound so people come in, right? So for me, it's a pain point. I manually I automate my outbound on LinkedIn, and then I manually ask them for their resume. Yep. I get usually a 1-to-1 ratio of getting resumes in, because I tell them it facilitates our conversation, our screening call kind of thing. So I get them in that way. That's how I do it. But yeah, I haven't had as much luck cold asking for resumes kind of thing or applying. So
yeah, Yeah, there's nothing like this on the market that I know of, which is part of why we're building it and seeing how it performs for people, right? If this doesn't get the end results for the customers, we won't be doing this in 12 months, right? Like that's not what it's about. I've been the customer before and bought tools. And I wanted a tool like this. It would be like really lightweight, light touch. They would automate and just get some more qualified applicants in the pipeline without hours of sourcing and messages back and forth and all that.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about as you guys are looking at, as you're doing similar companies, because I do use similar companies as like a kind of sourcing way, that's how I source. And the part that the pain point for me is like having to figure out who are the competitor companies, that kind of thing, the research in that regard. So I don't know if you had it in there as a feature. I remember there was a company called Clue, where you could take a LinkedIn profile and it would calibrate to that profile, along with the job description that they put in, that kind of thing. Is there a way that is your company profile doing the same thing? Are you guys taking that company profile, and it's calibrating based off of those? And like how many on average are actually being spit back out in terms accurately, kind of thing? Is that
only? So when you create a company profile, only 7 are being created right now for you to check and approve. But we can turn that number up. And then people can also do a quick search. We've got, what was it, Alex, like 12 categories from the old software that we can migrate over that will search for a bunch of different companies.
And I was using three main sources, including Perplexity and Genome, which was really good. And then also going into what other, like the VCs, the VCs that invested in what other similar companies did they invest in? And there are many ways to find similar companies.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, I think you were tagging into what I was saying, and I think you said it better than me. It's like the pain points for me on sourcing is like the continuous sourcing. Like, okay, I'll do it once, and then who are the competitors? What are other maybe not competitors with same industry? And the real value is, yes, getting good candidates in it, but it's the tool doing the sourcing for us, and us only having to put in a very broad range of restrictions and saying, this is what we're looking for. Now go get me these candidates, and setting broad parameters that continuously does that. And us not having to do that. And it's less about, for me, it's candidates or companies is one area to do it, but it's I think broader than that, because you could look at private equity companies that are portcos, and then you could look at cybersecurity, and maybe there's like, Dave, you've probably done this. There's sales roles that you get a SaaS salesperson, but then there's maybe you need a specialist in compliance, whatever I'm making up. But I think that piece is really maybe the real like an additional value add from just getting candidates in the door based on companies, but it's positioning this as the sourcing AI tool, not just another job board type of thing. That's I think a really cool opportunity. But again, just
like Alex mentioned earlier, I think if we can, and I know we only got 2 minutes left, but I think if we can build out all these strategies, right, then we can give it to an AI and say, hey, here's your 8 strategies. Decide which ones to use for this job posting in this industry. Like we can give it options, kind of like we as recruiters, right, would look at a job and a company and say, oh, okay, well, for this one, I'm going to use target companies, or for this one, I'm going to look at portcos, or for this one, it's, it's a technical role. I need to dig into the tech stack and who has a similar tech stack. Like we want to build out those strategies and then give that to the AI to actually decide. And similar with job titles, right? Like, hey, here, take this job posting, and then let's have some alternative job titles that you think could potentially be used at these, organizations or in these industries.
Right.
That's kind of the approach. Any other thoughts or questions as we've got 60 seconds left?
Hey, Elijah, thank you so much for presenting today. Just so kind of what we typically do. So I will, again, share this with the entire group. We sent out a form, so you'll have some actual feedback as well that people will fill out. We ask a couple questions on there. So any feedback we get, we'll definitely send your way, and we'll keep you updated. So we typically do kind of our poll at the end of the month with all of our Syelo tanks, and that's when we decide, how we want to partner with companies. So we'll definitely keep you updated along the way, but really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And let us know if there's anything we can ever do to help.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Elijah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
guys.
day. Cheers.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.